Well, now, this relatively humble test in progress for Gear Challenge is brought to you by the not so humble vodka martini. 3 olives in proper order, you might say. Now, as we've presented here more recently, a few visits to a store called a grocery outlet, grocery bargain outlet, grocery discount outlet, to score some perishable items that we utilize. And we've also received something that was shipped to us, and I think this is a good time to also present something that's not quite so humble. This would be the, it pops not quite so easy, it's not an assisted opener. This is the Trenton Entwistle flipper knife. This is a custom knife that Trenton made for me out of Canada. Quite the gentleman. We engaged in a bit of parlay, you might say, and he produced this awesome flipper knife. It is a liner lock. It is bracketed by carbon fiber scales, titanium bolsters, titanium pocket clip, and as you can see has quite the aggressive additions to the blade. The serrations, I specifically requested something that would be aggressive, that would really get in and either grab or give us a good bite, and frankly the thing looks like a shark. I mean, that's just what it looks like. And with Trenton's stamp of an elephant motif, and again, couldn't be more happier than that. I've just recently begun to carry this knife. He also incorporated a very subtle addition that you can, if somebody can make it out, you might see something that kind of poetically balances in with the knife itself. But again, just an absolute great flipper, and have not put the blade to much of a test yet. With that in mind, I think it's only appropriate that we open up a little Huckleberry, what is it? Huckleberry Woodchuck item that arrived, and see what we shall see. This comes with a very natural like packaging. I like the addition of the regular cordage. This yeah, okay, looks like we've got, wow, 4 items in here. So let's get right to it. Let's get the martini out of the way just a bit. There's the Huckleberry Woodchuck logo. And I'm wrapping this from the paper binding. And yeah, we've got a total of 4 pocket squares. I don't know if that's what the gentleman from Huckleberry Woodchuck likes to call them. However, I do like this. This has that kind of a look of the typical Hawaiian or Aloha style shirt. A little bit of a pattern along those lines, and looks like it's a double. There's a double layer here with some tacking and a stitch diagonally across the piece to help hold it all together. So we've got that. We've got, well, kind of I think we could say that this is definitely in the realm of the Voodoo Lounge. Definitely like that. I like that that pattern. And again, it's got a diagonal stitch. Looks like it's gold, or at least a brown, with a bit of an interesting pattern on this opposite side. Interesting. Definitely an Asian theme here. and I have to try to look that up or to recount what it might actually say. And I like the subtle lines of this piece. Last but not least, wow, here we go. A little bit of a forest-like pattern. We have some trees, variety of types of trees, and of course, I don't know if this is really coming out on camera quite well, but there's a slight change in color of the pattern, and of course there's that diagonal stitch across the center. This really kind of harkens to almost like a Art Deco look, at least to my eye, compared, we had Trenton's knife spin around, there we go, nothing like that, right? So with that in mind, I think that we should leave this out here, and quite frankly, what I wanted to introduce was a bit of a taste test with two products that were picked up at that grocery outlet store. One of them is a beef bar made by County Archer, or rather Country Archer, and this is marketed as a gluten-free product with very natural type content. One of the nice things about this and this other product, let's talk about the Country Archer first. That's the Country Archer beef bar, cayenne, which may be a bit of a spice. And then we've also have this Epic 100% bison bar. And this product is also gluten-free. This is listed as 7 grams of protein. And one of the nice things that I like about both of these products, the bison bar and the beef bar, is that you can actually see the product through the clear wrapper. There's no concealing what you're, at least to the eye, what you're going to get. So you can inspect it. I don't know about these dark spots. That's probably just part of the product itself. And keep in mind that these have been somewhat processed and put into a bar form. Not sure about the bison bar. It says there was some reference to minimal processing, and it does say it's a 100% natural bison product, or bison used for this product. But the bison product is listed as having, I believe it's 8 grams of total carbohydrate. 8 grams total carbohydrate, if you can make that out. And if I'm not mistaken, on the beef bar, that is listed at 9 grams of total carbohydrate. So in my case, I've attempted to reduce my intake of carbohydrates throughout the day. One of the reasons why we've gone to the proverbial martini type drink. But I've tried the turkey bar. There's a turkey bar version of this Country Archer bar, and I got to say that it's quite filling. Just one of these in the field if you're driving, instead of stopping and getting a burger, or stopping and getting a couple of tacos, or something that has a lot more carbohydrates in it and is much more content. One of these things really does fill you up, especially if you're drinking some water or some other type of a low carb type of a beverage. So we'll start off with the beef bar. This opens up with just a pull tab. Well, not a pull tab, but a pull piece. So it's very easy to open up. You don't need, in this case, the knife to open it up. And I mean, it really does smell like, it smells very much like beef jerky. And it says that it also is processed with uncured bacon. So, hey, that's a big win right there in and of itself. As far as the Epic bar is concerned, I've not had any of the Epic products, but it appears that it opens in a very similar fashion. If not, we'll deploy Trenton's blade. But there is a bit of a separation piece here. And so as long as your hands are not, sweaty, oily, or somehow otherwise slippery, I would think that you should be able to get this started without a lot of frustration. Although, quite frankly, I'm noticing that I am having some difficulty getting this to separate. So, with that said, let's see if we can just do a tear that way, and that does work. So, taking a little longer than I expected, with a little extra exertion, we can probably separate this piece. One of the other nice things is, if you've been in the field quite a bit, it looks like you can just slip this. Yeah, you just kind of push on it and it'll slip right through. So, you eat a little bit, let it go back inside the wrapper, fold it up, put it back in your go bag, and you should be good to go. And frankly, you could do the same thing with the Country Archer product. Starting off with the Epic product, just a little quick taste. Okay, and that is quite tender. I mean, incredibly tender. It doesn't smell much like a beef jerky. I have had bison steak in the past, and barbecued bison, and I would have to say that it really just tastes almost like beef. Of course, we could say it tastes like chicken, but I don't think we could say that legitimately. But this bison bar is quite tender. Got a little bit of an air pocket there. I don't think that's a real major concern. It says it's 1.3 ounces, or 37, is that 37 grams? Yeah. In net weight. So, I'm sure it's measured at the factory. And, you can get it to go back inside and tuck it away for later use. Let's cleanse the palate with a vodka martini. Okay. I don't know if that's a legitimate cleansing of the palate, but who cares, right? Now on this Country Archer beef bar, peel this back, and again, you can, if this was sealed on the sides, you could peel it back a little bit like that, which I have done with the turkey bar. Now, this beef bar is not quite as tender as the Epic. Nonetheless, pretty darn tender. About the same consistency that I think I had with the turkey bar. Even though so, it says cayenne, which I'm going to think is cayenne pepper or cayenne spice. It does have a little bit of a spicy nature to it. It still does smell and taste a bit like a typical beef jerky. An unflavored beef jerky, that is. But, yeah, very much like the turkey bar. This says it's 100% grass-fed beef, and that it's made from, or beef collagen, and real ingredients, which, of course, that could be just a marketing ploy for all I know. I won't go through the ingredients on the back. It's a little difficult to read through the window. The view through the window on these products is pretty legitimate. The window itself, the back of the packaging doesn't seem to be shaded in any way or tinted to give a misperception of what you're getting. At least that's my observation right now. Let's do the same thing with the Epic bar. Now, of course, we've got air in that pocket now, but as you can see, it's pretty much what we saw earlier is what you're going to get. So, it does not appear to have any tinting in the plastic, and so therefore, I like that. I like that. Let's call it transparency. Transparency in food. And again, I like the fact that you can kind of push it back into the packaging for at least the remainder of that day. You're pretty good without having any contamination, outside contamination getting to it, especially if you fold it up. Wow. I think I've had enough to eat for this evening. Probably save this for tomorrow. And maybe perhaps mix up yet another vodka martini. So, salute. Very brief follow-up with this Epic Bison Bar and Country Archer Beef Bar. The beef bar, as mentioned earlier, has a little bit of spice kick to it. Nothing significant, nothing major. Nothing along the lines of the Hate Project by any stretch of the imagination. although these guys would probably be a great partner for the hate project. The bison bar has a bit of a sweet kick to it. I think I mentioned earlier, it just tastes like beef, or, I deferred from calling it chicken-like. But the beef bar, or the bison bar, definitely has a sweet aftertaste. And you can tell I've been nibbling away, but it definitely has a sweet aftertaste. There's nothing, referenced in the ingredients other than the uncured bacon that I see. There is pork listed as well, if I'm reading this correctly. Vinegar, celery powder, sea salt, dried cranberries. Maybe the cranberries are what's giving it this sweet aftertaste. But I mean, this thing is almost like having dessert in meat. So one other comment: the Country Archer beef bar is sold at that retailer at about $1 a piece, about $1 per package, $1. Great snack, great go-to for your go bag. The Epic bar, I think if memory serves, it was about 75 cents USD. So for 75 cents, you get something that pretty much gives you a good midday snack, if not an entire meal, depending on your needs, your caloric intake needs and what have you. And just as long as you supplement it with enough H2O, it should be good to go. I mean, good stuff. There you go. That is a cranberry. I'm sorry, didn't mean to, be over the top, but biting into that little piece, that was a cranberry. So if we look a little closer, that dark spot is where the cranberry was. And so they've actually, there's pieces of cranberry in this, and quite good. So there you go. I'm going to be adding this to the go bag on a pretty regular basis until further notice, as they say. Take good care.